gentlemen of Bungle. Hope you're doing well, and I hope you're having a great day. Today we are going over the BM-41 mortar, a high-tier, high unlock that you can get for the Soviets in the Battle of Berlin campaign. But diving down to the overview, you may be asking yourself, Bungle, how do I go and unlock the BM-41? Well, pretty much it is a level 36 reward for the Soviets in the Battle of Berlin campaign. This is a mortar class weapon, so only the mortar class trooper will be able to equip the BM-41. Another thing to note with the BM-41 is it comes as the weapon. There is no mortar class 2, so keep that in mind. You're going to be very limited in how you use this weapon. Another thing to note too is if you elect to go and purchase more, it's going to cost you 3 several orders, and keep in mind, at most you can have 2 mortarmen in a squad. But diving down to the performance, real question, Bungle, is this really a good unlock? Is it worth picking up? And we're gonna dive into it right away with the round capabilities. So pretty much default, if you have a stock trooper, you can be able to carry 5 rounds into combat. This is an 82mm round shell that it fires. Now, when you fire this round, it will take longer for the shell to go and detonate in an area than it would be any other mortar in Enlisted. It is very frustrating, especially if you're trying to aim at choke points or at areas that your team has spotted, where by the time that round lands, the enemy team probably already moved on, same with the squad, and you're really going to be hitting nothing. Another thing to note too is that the AoE, or the damage, of the 82mm round surprisingly is very, very bad. Even the splash damage of it is kind of a hit or miss. You get more reliability with using a lower caliber round of a mortar. Another thing to note too is that there is a theory floating around that the 82mm can penetrate tanks, and the answer is no. And you can see through the footage that regardless if it's a Panzer 4J or a Panther or a Tiger, this shell is not going through, even if you go and hit on the roof, where you would figure, right, that the roof of a vehicle is going to be lightly armored, so as a result, if a shell lands on top of it, especially an 82mm round, you would think it would at least penetrate or do some sort of damage, and really it doesn't do anything at all. Another thing to note too, and it's a big frustrating factor here with the BM-41, is that, and this is also applies with the German counterpart, which we'll talk about in another video, is that if you have an engineer in your squad, which is highly encouraged if you're going to use a mortar trooper class, keep in mind every time you build an ammo box, when you go and replenish it, it's going to takes up 1 ammo box. So once you replenish those 5 rounds that you fire, you're going to go and basically waste the entire ammo box, and you're going to have to build another one. So that really does hinder your capabilities of the squad, because keep in mind, as you keep refilling the ammo boxes, you can only build a certain amount in the engineer based on the engineer's supply capabilities. Or diving down to, is it worth an answer is no. And here's my opinion on everything. I think this is a bugged mortar right now. I really do, because I highly doubt an 82mm shouldn't be doing less damage, if not worse damage, compared to lower munition rounds. I can understand the longer uptime because it is a heavier round, but at the same time, its damage should not be doing worse, if not close to on par, to a smaller munition round. It just doesn't make any sense. Same when it comes to its performance against tanks. If it's hitting dead on a tank, it should in theory go through the top of the tank. If you play War Thunder, if you play any other games, my favorite plane to use usually is like a P-63 Air Cobra, or same with the Germans when they have their HE-129 or whatever, etc. That has a 37mm gun on it. It's able to go and penetrate tanks if you're going and shooting at the roof of a tank, right? So in theory, if those rounds are able to go through, I don't see why an 82mm mortar round shouldn't have the same effect if it's going directly above a tank. Now I understand that it's just an HE round versus AP, that kind of makes more sense, but you don't have the capabilities of doing it in Enlisted anyway. So right now, as an unlock, definitely not worth picking up. I think this is definitely bugged. I'm surprised that they missed the ball by doing, they should have done a Trooper 2 class, right? A Mortar Trooper 2 class. That way you have 2 mortar squads, because right now, currently, the only mortar squad you get is the one you unlock earlier in the campaign. And then you have to go and switch it out with the BM-41 to have those soldiers use it. And then you're limited to 2 of those soldiers. And keep in mind too, you have to have 2 engineers in the squad to make it at least somewhat competitive. Same with the ammo boxes being used every time you have to refill. It's kind of frustrating with that as well. And you have to keep in mind, why they did this is because if you look at, some footage that I'll have here, this used to be how the mortar trooper used to be in Enlisted, where you could just sit back, spam mortar rounds, and then quickly reload using your engineer. And there really wasn't a limit as to how long you could do that for. It was actually, in my opinion, it was fair, because it was rewarding the gameplay of you providing indirect fire to your team and suppressing an enemy pushing on an objective, or helping your team attack an objective and get the enemy off of it. But for whatever reason, there was a lot of backlash in the community about the mortar class being OP and needs to be nerfed, etc. So as a result, we kind of see the performance in it now with the BM-41. So I would not recommend picking this up, and hopefully this could be something that can be looked into as a bug. Other than that, I've reached this point of the video, new viewer, possibly new subscriber. I hope today is the day that I earn your subscription. Have your sub and massive like button does help me with YouTube algorithm, turn sub returning viewer, and let me know your thoughts. Other than that, I hope you all have a great day, and thanks for stopping by. Take care.